certainly if anybody has any questions, we would be more than happy to answer them. Actually, we have a couple up here. What is the EPA guidelines on epoxy lining? The EPA guidelines on epoxy lining, as I said earlier, that's what's covered by the ANSI NSF Standard 61. That standard was a standard that was developed between NSF and the EPA to certify the safety of materials in drinking water systems, and epoxy lining systems have to pass that same certification, just like a piece of copper pipe would be treated. Next question is, how do we handle inline valves? Great question for epoxy lining. What we do when we go into epoxy lining system is we map out the whole system and evaluate what valves are there. Most systems suffer from lack of valves, where there's not enough valves to isolate off different sections of the building. And so in that case, we actually go in and install new valves so that we can segment out the building and therefore only turn water off to the appropriate section. If it's an existing valve that we want to use, we will replace that valve. Most existing valves in a system that's an older system just do not seal well enough to isolate off the system, so we will replace those. If it's an inline valve deep in the middle of the system that nobody's going to use anymore, we will just remove the handle of that valve and line right through it, and it'll actually become a piece of pipe. Next question is this a process applicable to drain pipes? Unfortunately, it's not. This is a process that's used primarily in drinking water systems. We also use it in fire suppression systems and some HVAC systems. The problem with drain pipes and sewer pipes, it's the inability to get those pipes clean enough so that you have clean bare metal for the epoxy to adhere to. So at this point, it's not an application that we can handle. Let's see. A couple other questions. How long will water be turned off to the building? Great question. It varies via the solution that's used. Repipe, it can be up to 8 to 10 days for an existing suite. And again, you're removing large sections of pipe, and until that pipe is back in place, the water obviously stays off. Epoxy lining typically has a fairly good advantage over that, in that your water is typically only turned off for 24 hours at the most for an individual suite. Now, throughout the whole building, it might be a 6-month process, and so individual tenants are having their water turned off during that whole 6-month project, but each individual tenant's only going to have theirs turned off for a day. And then once their suite has been lined, they're back in business, and it cascades down the line. So not any individual tenant is out for multiple days. How long will the process take? Again, this is really an issue with the size and the scope of the job. The overall projects can take anywhere, as I said, from a month to 6 months to 12 months, depending on how large of a building. For instance, we are repiping 2 12-story towers in Vancouver. That process will probably take 6 months to repipe the whole system. We are lining a 13-building complex down in Houston. That's going to take about 4 months. But again, the important thing to note is that while the process goes for a long time, individual tenants are only going to be affected with epoxy lining 1 to 2 days, with repipe probably closer to 8 to 10 days. So I think at this point that's all the questions. One just popped up. How do you guarantee 100% penetration? Good question. What we do is we actually use a borescope to go into the pipes that we've lined to verify that the epoxy has has made it to the end of the line. Certainly you can see it at the beginning of the line, and the more important part is at the end of a run, we typically will shoot epoxy anywhere from 50 to 100 feet at a time. And so we will go and actually put a camera down that pipe and look and verify that we have full penetration all the way around. The other thing that we will do at times is to actually install spool pieces throughout the building. And then once we're finished lining, we can remove those spool pieces, visually look at them, and if a customer wants, can actually send them to a lab, and they can actually take photomicrograph pictures to verify the epoxy has gone through the whole process. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for attending this. You can certainly reach us by phone at 1-888-4-CuraFlo. If you have any questions, that's 1-888-4-CURAFLO. Or go to our website, which is CuraFlo.com, CuraFlo.com. Certainly contact information on that website, information about multifamily plumbing systems and epoxy lining, and some pretty neat videos that show the epoxy lining process where you actually see the epoxy getting blown through clear PVC pipes, so you can watch how the epoxy goes through. It's kind of a unique process that's not necessarily intuitive, so being able to watch it in video form certainly helps a lot. So once again, I thank everybody for participating. Please give us a call if you have any questions, whether it's repipe, piping problems, or epoxy lining, and we would be more than happy to answer them for you.